Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love. All of my books are available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible books. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do readings, 30, 60, and 90-minute readings, Twin Flame Romance, general readings, life path, and purpose. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. And don't forget to download the free Twin Flame Affirmations Meditation. The link is below. Welcome to Twin Flame Guidance, where we talk about a topic each week dealing with the Twin Flame journey. This week, we're talking about why becoming a better person is actually the goal. This comes from my come to Jesus moment that I had while I was on vacation. Now, of course, you might be thinking, Michelle, why were you thinking about this stuff while you were on vacation? You should have been relaxing. You shouldn't have been thinking about your twin flame journey. Well, au contraire, my friend. I was infused in this book called Safe People that has actually been on my shelf for about 10 years, maybe less than 10 years, maybe 6 years or 7 years, but it's been a long time. It's been on my shelf for a long time. And I picked it up and I started to read it. And then I never really finished it. I started reading it a few months ago, got about 2/3 the way through. And on my vacation, I finished Safe People. So I had a come to Jesus moment. Now, you might have heard through myself, if you've received twin flame coaching and reading sessions with me, if you've been in my boot camps or my twin flame coaching, you've certainly heard me say to you, and even on YouTube in my videos, the twin flame journey is about your own personal development, is about self-development. It's less about the romantic part of the relationship. It's less about the actual bond and relationship that you have with your twin flame divine counterpart. And it's more about your own personal achievement in personal development, like getting over your wounds and your inner child work and healing your past and all the things that we tend to talk about on this channel. And if you haven't heard it from me, you've probably heard it from other good twin flame coaches or YouTubers. And I say good because the good ones are going to place a greater amount of emphasis on self-improvement when it comes to your past, your personality, and your relationships than they are on the twin flame romantic relationship itself. They're going to really focus more on, what are you doing to self-improve, twin flame? What are you doing? So for me, this was a real, like I said, come to Jesus moment, because I have been through many layers of healing, not only during this twin flame journey, but I went through a lot of layers of healing in my previous relationship as well, prior to meeting my twin flame. And when you go through that many layers of healing and you really dug up a lot of the dirt that's been hidden, and maybe not so hidden to other people, but that's been hidden to you, when you've dug up a lot of the dirt and you work through a lot of the issues and problems, you think okay, I'm pretty much done. I have worked through all of my past and my stuff and my wounds and my shortcomings and many things, that there's not a whole lot to unearth here. Well, I thought that too. And I was wrong about it. Now, the degree to which I was wrong about it was not lack of recognition, I want to say. So the epiphanies that I had while reading this book, Safe People, and it's actually a book we are studying, not verbatim, word by word, in reading it in my group coaching program, but I'm going to dissect parts of it and present it to my group coaching clients, because we've been working on boundaries and getting over codependency. And I feel like this is the natural transition into focusing on safe people, or lack thereof of safe people. But the recognition for me of the repetition of really bad romantic relationships that I've had throughout my life and just the destructiveness of those relationships, like that has been omnipresent. I've been pretty well cognizant of it. And if I wasn't cognizant of it 10, 12 years ago, I've been cognizant of that for probably the past at least 4 years, of those repetitive patterns of destructive relationships. It's not for lack of want of good relationships. It's the fact that because of certain traits in me, I was choosing relationships that were not viable, healthfully viable. They could have been viable unhealthfully, but they were not healthfully viable. So the recognition was there prior to my epiphanies that I was having during this vacation. So the recognition was there that, yeah, I've been in a lot of crappy relationships. That recognition was there. The recognition was also there of like, yeah, I had a difficult time choosing people that were good for me. I mean, that was a major recognition that I had had. And so it's not that I was keeping my head buried in the sand this entire time and saying like, I don't know why I keep having bad relationships. That was never the case. It was not the case. But the pinpointing of the exact reasons why I was selecting relationships that were less than optimal for me, that was a little more fuzzy. That was a little more vague. And so what happened when I read this book is that it truly unearthed the exact reasons, like it honed in on the precise reasons for me why I kept choosing relationships that were unhealthy. Now, you might be saying to me, well, look, I have this twin flame connection, and you don't choose your twin flame chooses you, or the spiritual world, God, spirit, universe, chooses this for you. Or if you want to go even deeper, you can say, my soul and my twin flame soul chose this before we incarnated here on Earth. All of that is true. All of that is true. But I'm going to produce a video next week in the Twin Flame Guidance. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and get those notifications about what your twin flame shows you. So yes, your twin flame may show up much in the same way that many of your unhealthy relationships have showed up in the past. But maybe your twin flame is showing up that way to show you how you have been showing up in relationship up until now, or up until the point at which you met your twin flame. And that's certainly what my twin flame did for me. He showed up in a very similar way, not same, but similar way, showing me similar things to the things that previous relationships had showed me. So that was an interesting point. But the epiphanies that I came to while on vacation about how the main goal of this journey, this twin flame journey, is about your own self-improvement and about you becoming a better person. Even though I knew that, I always thought that I wasn't the core problem of the relationships. So why don't we just take a moment to pause now to support this channel and see if YouTube would like to show a commercial. Thanks for sitting through that. What I realized was through this book, Safe People, it made me very sad. It made me very sad, and it made me really depressed. It really, truly made me really depressed. I think I was more depressed upon having these epiphanies than I care to admit. I was more depressed upon having these epiphanies than I was during the dark night of the soul. Because during the dark night of the soul, for me, it was the longing for union. It was the longing to be together with my twin. It was the pain of separation that kept me upset during the dark night of the soul. But for this, to realize that my own shortcomings were the reasons why I was in bad relationship after bad relationship really hurt to the core. Now, let me explain to you something. I have been a cheerleader for romantic relationships, and good romantic relationships at that. I've been a cheerleader for romantic relationships for my entire life. I think the main focal point of my entire existence has been romance and romantic relationships. And to that end, I've read tons of relationship books and dating books and marriage books and seminars and everything regarding how to have a great, balanced, successful relationship. But in order to have a balanced, successful romantic relationship, you have to have two people willing, ready, and able to have a successful romantic relationship. And it does not suffice to have one person who is all in trying to make things work, and the other person doesn't really care about either making things work or self-improvement or change or recognition, getting out of denial and being awake to your own things that need to come to the center point. The center point meaning there's a lot of compromise that happens in relationships, and there's growth, and there's constant growth, and there's good communication skills. There are so many things that both parties have to bring to the table in order to make a relationship work. So one of my major problems was choosing the wrong person and trying to smash them into a mold, trying to fit them into a mold and going, okay, now we're going to create the perfect relationship, when you have to have the right raw material to start. So when you're starting with the wrong person, or a person who's not ready, willing, and able, and you're trying to force them into a mold that they don't want to be in, you're going to have a lot more conflict and friction, and both parties are going to be very, very unhappy. And so when I realized that that was one of my core problems, was that I kept choosing people who were not willing, ready, and able to do the work necessary to be in a long-term committed relationship, but I was trying to force it to happen. That was really hard to realize and like blame myself, or kind of like come to that reckoning myself. And the second, there were so many epiphanies that I had. And of course, in the group coaching, we're going to go really, 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 really deep into the character flaws that cause you to choose unsafe people, and the character flaws that can cause you to be an unsafe person. Because rest assured, if you have been actively choosing people who are unsafe, you also have qualities of an unsafe person. You might not have as many qualities as the person you're choosing, but meaning like you might be the one who's more aware, but you are not 100% a safe person if you're constantly choosing people who are not in the category of safe people. So one epiphany that I had, like I actually had it yesterday during our group coaching call, but I had it like 12 hours before, and it came to surface during the group coaching call, was one of my character flaws that have gotten me into really bad relationships is impulsivity. I have an issue with impulsivity. Now, I didn't think this was an issue. I really did not think this was one of my major issues, but when it comes to relationship, when it comes to dating and romance, impulsivity has been my downfall. That has been a huge downfall for me. Now, what is impulsivity? Impulsivity is jumping the gun. Impulsivity is choosing someone or getting into a dating situation, a romantic situation, and pushing the gas pedal full speed ahead with no brakes. And that's impulsivity. And impulsivity has gotten me into probably every single one of my bad relationships. That was the major issue. Now, there were other issues, believe me, many others. Out of the 13 or 14 personality flaws in this book, Safe People, of why you choose unsafe people. 13 or 14, I can't remember. It was 13 or 14, but I think there were only 3 that I did not have. So I think I had 11 traits, personality flaws that throughout my life were causing me to choose unsafe people. I didn't want to make the video about like this specifically, but I want to give you an outline of the reasons why you becoming a better person and me becoming a better person is the main point of the twin flame journey. So yes, I went into like this deep depression during my vacation because of the epiphanies that I was having about me being so incredibly flawed that I was the one causing the grief and pain and sorrow in all of my romantic relationships. Now, does that mean that the other person was perfect? No, of course not. But had I gotten rid of my own personality flaws ahead of time, then I wouldn't have chosen perhaps to be in those situations, to be in those relationships. Now, I want to say that my radar was broken from the get-go. Now, I'm taking full responsibility for this because now I'm an adult, and that's what adults do. They take full responsibility for their actions and their personality flaws. But I can trace this back to my childhood, that because I had very unhealthy parents who were in constant denial of reality and also who lied to my sister and I throughout our entire childhood, lied about everything, we grew up with a broken sensor for safe people, if you will, because if your 2 major caretakers are not safe people, and your growing childhood brain is trying to discern what good people are, like what are safe people, what are good people, but the only examples you have, the major examples you have, are people who are unsafe, that show unsafe traits, your baby brain is calculating and going, oh, these traits are what we seek in others who really, really love us and care for us. And so the sensor that I had growing up was completely broken. And instead of recognizing that the sensor was broken, unconsciously or subconsciously, I kept that sensor throughout years and decades, and I used that sensor as a parameter for selecting romantic partners. Now, of course, because I do have a modicum of awareness, things did improve incrementally throughout the years, but they didn't improve completely because what I needed to do was break the sensor completely and start anew, start with something new. And it wasn't until now that I was able to do that. But that leads me to coaching you guys through why it's so important for you to place your main focus on becoming a better person. Because most of you out there in YouTube land, I'm not going to say all, because I have people in my group coaching program who understand this, who are like, I need to become a better person. I have people in my boot camps who are like, yes, I understand this. I need to become a better person. But I would say most of you out there who are twin flames haven't fully grasped this lesson yet. You're still thinking, if my twin flame would change, if my twin flame would just come back to me, if my twin flame would just give me an opportunity, a chance to have this reunion, then things would get much better. Or like, why doesn't my twin flame love me or care about me? The journey then becomes completely externally focused rather than internally focused. And the problem with that is you're not going to the actual core of the problem. And when you don't go to the core of the problem, then you're not doing what twin flames came on earth to actually do. So let's just go ahead and take another pause to support this channel and see if YouTube would like to show a commercial. Thanks for sitting through that. When you start to get internally focused on becoming a better person, then you can do the job of starting to elevate the consciousness of the world, because that is why we came here. We came here to help elevate the general consciousness of the globe. And when everybody is in denial mode about what is theirs and the reason why, we're using relationships as the example. I could give you hundreds of different examples, but we're talking about relationships. So if everybody is focused on the reasons why am I always in bad relationships? Why do my relationships break up? Why can't I get a guy to commit? Why can't I get a guy to marry me? Why can't I even get a date? I'm on 5 dating apps, right? So we have all these excuses that come through as to like, why my love life isn't going well. Why aren't things going the way? I just want to be with someone. I don't want to be lonely anymore. I'm sick of this. I want the romance. I want to have kids. Like, everybody has their external reasons why they need to be in a romantic relationship. And many of those reasons are 100% valid, right? But you're a twin flame for a reason. And when you are so externally focused, you are not working on the things that you actually need to work on to elevate the consciousness of the world. And to be honest with you, you don't really need your twin flame in person to start the process of elevating consciousness. You don't need your twin flame with you in person to start to do that. Now, of course, twin flames, there's strength in numbers. Even God says that. When 2 or more are gathered in my name, I hear them, right? So there are strength in numbers. Of course, there's strength in numbers. But that being said, when you start to do the self-improvement yourself, when you start to become a better person yourself, then you start the process of elevating the consciousness of the world too. Now, just think about the opposite of that. Think about the fact that if you're still sitting here with your character flaws, like me, and I've worked through a lot of them, but there's a lot that I wasn't aware of. But when you're starting to work through your character flaws and seeing them and starting to change them, and you start to see yourself change, then you feel proud of yourself. You have more self-confidence. You have more self-esteem. You have more self-love. But the opposite of that is you're constantly thinking that your life would be better if you had your romantic partner. But let's just suppose that you come to the table with your romantic partner, albeit your twin flame or anybody else in a romantic partnership. Let's say you come to the table with all of your flaws and all your wounds and all that garbage that you've been carrying with you throughout your life of romantic relationships, and you bring all that garbage into your romance. Do you think you're going to have a good romance? Do you think you're going to have a good romantic life? I can tell you the answer right now. You don't even have to go there. The answer is no. You're not going to have a good romantic life. You're going to repeat the same mistakes of the past. Your relationship is going to be crappy and it's going to end and you're going to be heartbroken. And then what? So it's better for you to think about this journey as a self-improvement journey first. I'm not saying the romantic package won't come with it, because this is divinely guided and chances are it will. But the idea is to focus on your self-improvement first, becoming a better person first, so that you're just not a crappy person. And it's like, and I don't conceive of myself as a crappy person. I really don't. I've never looked at myself that way, even though there have been moments, sure. But I've never looked at myself as being a crappy person. But if I've made really bad choices, then I am a crappy person. And those are things that I actually need to take a look at. I need to take a look at my poor choices. I need to take a look at things like impulsivity. That's just one. I'm just sharing one. I'm going to share a lot more when we go into it in our group coaching. But if I'm sitting here thinking that the problem is outside of me, then I'm not being realistic to improving my life and improving the lives of others. Because when you're in a crappy state, the people around you are not going to feel great either. So just think about that. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there and give you some of my realizations that I had during my vacation. And so it was a little bit of a working vacation in a way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I think when I went to Hawaii, I took a really relaxing vacation. But other than that, I don't know. I tend to work a lot, even on vacation. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with other twin flames. And thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy a book or 2 or 3. You can join a boot camp or my meditation course, and you can also join our group coaching. The links are below. And I will see you in the next video.